Hey, Durfee. Hi, everyone. Ray, say hi.
What's going on, guys? How's it going? How's it going?
Can you guys hear him properly?
Hey, hello, hello.
Hi. Cool. Everyone can hear him properly. Long time no see, guys. Long time no see. Very excited to do this AMA. It's been a while since we've spoken to you guys on Twitch. Right, Ray? We used to do this every
We've been
week.
grinding. We've been grinding hard though. I've been going pretty hard. Hiring people, getting 3D stuff done. Overall, though, pretty happy with how things are progressing. Hopefully, everybody's doing fine as well.
Yeah, I asked Ray, I was like, hey, Ray, what time did you sleep last night? He's like, 10 a.m. this morning. And I was like, what the fuck? It's like 3 p.m. right now. He's literally on crack. Hi,
Yeah, this
Bayron.
is time zone. This is time zones, eh?
Ray sounds so sexy. Yes, that's why I brought him on board, of course. Everyone comes here for Ray's voice, not for mine.
Yikes! Yeah, 10 a.m., dude. That's pretty rough. Pretty damn rough.
Yeah, he's been
I don't know though.
sleeping what? You've been sleeping 4 hours every week?
Since Mint. Yeah. Actually, even since a little bit before Mint, I was already like that. Jesus. I need to take a day off. I still haven't dude. Since we started building Nano, I still haven't taken a full day off.
Yeah.
Something always happens.
You said you were gonna take a day off this week, and you still haven't taken your day off.
I know. Oh my god. No, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll take the rest of today off after I finish this.
Are we in Bali? No, we're not. We're still in New Zealand, but I am leaving New Zealand on the 1st of March to Indonesia, so I'm very excited. Very excited.
Yeah. So Press is leaving first, and then the rest of the team will follow. Because she's an Indonesian citizen, she's got a passport there. So what she can do for us is she can head over first and set up the companies and everything, and then sort out the accommodation, and then once everything's kind of ready, and she can kind of work in Bali while during the mint, and then after the mint we'll kind of all go and meet her.
Yep. So they can only go once I sort out the company, so I can give them work visas and stuff, so they can open bank accounts there. So yeah.
Oh,
VZ.
Vision's already out.
VZ,
Oh no no
stop
no.
cracking out. He does this every single stream. Look how many gift subs he's given us. What the hell?
How is he always up for our streams as well? What time is it?
VZ,
He's
are you
back in
still in
Germany, right?
Vietnam? Or are you in Germany now? Because it would be 3 a.m. for VZ. Oh my gosh. VZ is a sugar
VZ was so
daddy.
stressed. I think VZ's back in Germany. He was so stressed because he got delayed in Vietnam. He had to stay there for an extra 2 weeks or something. That was rough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So guys, how have you all been doing? Did you guys miss us? Yeah, it just feels really weird streaming and VZ bombing us with the gift subs.
Yeah, 100.
All right, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys have been good. We're gonna kickstart off this AMA session. We will go through the questions that were posted in the Google Forms first, and then we'll start answering questions through chat after. No games today. It's just purely AMA, just giving you guys an update on, what's been happening with the project, what we've been doing, because we've been pretty silent, since New Year's-ish, because everyone's pretty much been on the grind, in the background, getting everything sorted for phase 2. So I thought you guys would like a update, you know, and yeah. So, Ray.
Hope the questions are not too hard though, because I haven't seen them yet.
Yep. Ray hasn't seen them yet, so none of this is scripted at all. He's gonna be answering them on the web. So
I literally just woke up maybe like 15, 20 minutes ago. Still haven't had coffee or anything as well. I'll
yeah,
try my best. Let's go.
yeah, don't worry. All right, right. Did absinthe move or something? No, no, I haven't moved yet. Still in New Zealand. Anyways, come on. All right. First question, Ray. Will it be relatively easy for me to get whitelist or to buy on public? Because I really want one of those AIs. Really simple question.
Right now, right now the whitelists are capped at 455. The total collection number has not been confirmed yet, but it's bigger than that. But I think with our marketing ramping up leading up to phase two, I think it would be a little bit hard trying to get one, you know, during the actual sale. Um, and getting it on secondary is kind of I don't know, man. Like it's like you can get anything on the secondary pretty easily. It's just like how much do you want to pay for it? I mean, you can get a Hape right now. You can get a like yeah, Azuki right now. It's like 7 ETH or something, right? So it's not impossible to get, but like it really sucks that there is a limit to the amount that we can kind of mint, and the prices have to be a certain way so we get enough funds to build out the rest of the project. But you know, like I do understand people want to get involved, and that's like it's just like something that we have to try our best to accommodate. But you know, once this project and the platform matures, we'll be releasing like cheaper collections as time goes on, and the collections will get bigger, so more people can kind of invest in the ecosystem. But it's always since day one, I've always kind of been quite transparent that people that hold passes, the nano passes, they're always going to be like the day ones and the people that invested in us the earliest. So I try my best to deliver like the most value I can to those people. Um, yeah. So that's how it is. But you can get your hands on one. It's just like, you know, might be a bit costly.
Yeah. Second question. All right. Fragments. How many are roughly needed? Are you able to sell the frags? And are we on time for phase two release?
Okay, it's a couple of questions rolled into one. So for fragments, right? I'll give you a rough example. It'll cost like probably around 5 to 8, or maybe even 5 to 10 fragments to customize your agent's name. So you guys know, like right now you've got Siri, Alexa, and all that stuff. But it's kind of like when you talk to Siri, that's kind of like very impersonal, right? And everybody calls Siri Siri, so it's kind of that's kind of like pretty lame as well. So in order to customize your own agent's name, you're gonna have to pay a little bit, you know, a little bit of fragments there. It's like 5 to 10 type of thing. And then moving on to the second part of the question is, would you be able to sell fragments, right? You would be able to. Like right now, we're going to push an update soon, I think, that lets you transfer fragments from one account to another. So that will come live first. And then the buying and selling of it will have like a mini stock exchange kind of situation. So you can kind of like, like there'll be like a market maker. So someone would like, you know, they would list it up for like, you know, $2 or whatever, and then someone would buy it for like $2.01. They'll buy everything under that, you know, that then it'll kind of like we'll have like an automatic market maker system, so people can kind of just buy and sell openly, and then obviously you pay with either, you know, bits tokens or Ethereum or whatever. So we'll make something happen there to make sure that you are able to freely transact, because otherwise like a lot of people would have, like for example myself, I've got 10 nanopasses, but I might only want to train one or two agents, so I'll have like an excess of fragments. And then some people don't have any nanopasses and they buy an agent. It's like how are they going to get the fragments, right? So they'll have to buy it off people that that currently own the nanopasses and generate the fragments through the boxes. So that's kind of the setup we have in mind.
Awesome. And will the agents be usable in any metaverse eventually? And what kind of work experience does the team have prior? Whew.
Um, Like we'll give you the 3D files, but whether or not that's compatible with other metaverses, that's kind of out of our control. But what we can, you know, on our side, what we can control is who we let into our metaverse at the early stages, whilst the platform is still like in its like alpha or testing phases. The reason for that is because I can't really envision a world that is actually like cohesive, right, in terms of like the logic of the universe makes sense within this world. If you have like high poly kind of realistic 3D models running around, and then you get a couple of voxel guys with like Minecraft models, and it's just like, to me it's like really jarring. And the whole point of this is to construct a believable setting, and for everybody to hang out and sort of exist within this alternate reality, right? Because what is a metaverse? It's like we're spending more and more of our time online digitally, and the metaverse is kind of like the natural evolution in terms of how we spend our time online. So in order to maintain a certain level of quality, it won't be fully open. Like you won't be able to upload just any random 3D model and be part of Nano. But the thing is, we will give you the models to the agents, and it's fully rigged, so you'll be able to kind of port it into any compatible metaverse. But that's kind of like up to them, not up to us.
And what kind of work experience does the team have prior? Should we reveal all the people that we've kind of hired apart from like us?
I thought you were gonna make a Twitter post and hype it up. Do you want to leak?
We can leak it into the stream for the people who have been hanging out with us. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, true. We'll leak a little bit of alpha. So just off the top of my head, because we've pretty much been in full hiring mode since we're gearing up to hire, and we already hired like a couple of people after Christmas. But you guys know, like that Christmas New Year's period is kind of, everybody's chilling with their family and stuff. So a lot of people that we emailed or like DM'd on LinkedIn, they didn't get back to us till a bit later. So from like, I'd say like from the early Jan, until even like yesterday, we're still hiring people, but it's just like I think we've hired 30 around 30 people so far. And just for the AI department, we've hired someone from, I'm just thinking about what I can and can't say. So there's an undisclosed electric car company, and we hired an AI ML expert from that company that does algorithms and modeling for like autonomous driving. So this person, his name's Sin. He's going to be leading the AI efforts along with Kai and myself. So it's kind of like he's the department lead. Kai is the CTO still, and then I'm kind of the project lead, and I kind of oversee the exact specs and requirements that we need. We've been making really good progress on that. And then beyond Sin, we've also hired one Google engineer, and this guy's like a legit guy as well, like super experienced. And he's really good with algorithms as well. That's specifically what he works on at Google. And then we've got some data scientists and researchers that we've also hired. So the team right now, in terms of bare bones, we've got all the talent that we need, and it's about developing an MVP with a smaller amount of people, and then adding on researchers and adding on additional people to work on the algos once our sort of like code base is ready. And it's looking pretty damn good. Like we've done trials. We all talk to this AI, well, our current model of the AI anyway, pretty much on a daily basis, and it's like technology is pretty damn impressive these days. A lot of papers and a lot of research has come out on AIs over the last 2 years, and like it's pretty spectacular. Like I'll be really honest.
Yeah, Ray showed me like an example of what the AI created just from, was it like random words that you gave the AI, the
Yeah,
algorithm?
so yeah. So that was like a GPT-J, kind of like an open source model of it, and we were kind of like testing it and like sort of seeing how we can implement it into our chain of logic. So there's like a massive decision tree, right? And then we're thinking about what questions or what kind of inputs it would be suitable for like a neural network engine or like a GPT-J kind of situation. Like, and it was like we gave it one line as a prompt, and then we would be like, write it as a story or write it as a press release or write it as a whatever, and then it would actually take that sentence and it would extrapolate like level 2 and level 3 concepts from that sentence, and they will like actually do research on it and combine all of these different ideas to give you like a really creative piece of writing that makes sense like 7 times out of 10. And it's really good writing. I know people in real life that wouldn't even be like they couldn't even write as good as that. So I'm just like super shocked. So you can get some real high quality stuff out of the engine. But with all kind of neural network models, the problem with this specific type of AI is that there's a lot of inconsistencies, and it's very unreliable. So we're trying to think about ways to make that into an advantage rather than a disadvantage. But yeah, without giving away too much, we have been doing like a shit ton of work on the AI side, and huge progress actually, considering we've only started working on it in the last, like, I would say like 2 weeks.
Yeah. When Ray gave it to me, I was like, is this a real article? Like, did someone like get this from online? Is this real? Is this actually someone like something from like apple.com? Like, because it was an article about Tim Cooks, and it just seemed so realistic. And Ray was like, "No, this is what our this is what our AI generated of like the simple sentence I gave it." And I was just like, "Bruh, like what the hell?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's freaking cracked." So it was super bullish. Cracked AI team. Cracked AI team. All right, next question. Would the AI require certain PC specifications for it to run smoothly?
Yeah, it would probably require a base level of computational power. Plus, um, it is a platform on your computer and it's kind of built in Unity, so you can kind of consider it like a level within a game. You can turn down graphic settings, but you would definitely need to be able to run like, say, like League of Legends or something in order to be able to run this thing. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to run it on like a laptop or like one of those what do they call it? Those they were really popular a couple of years ago. Do you remember those were they called like
Uh,
netbooks or something? They didn't have anything. It was just
Chromebooks, is that what they're called, or something?
I think Chromebooks were an actual thing, but whatever. But like
Something
basically,
like Surface
you would
Pros,
need
yeah, Surface Books or whatever. Yeah, Chromebook. I think
well,
that's
that's
what they're called.
Surface Books got like GPUs, don't they? I think if you've got a GPU that can run like decent games, you'll be able to run this no problem. And we're building it to be compatible with both Mac OS and Windows.
Nice. Will the Nanopass be involved with Project PXN and Oxygen Labs at all? Thanks.
Cool. So I'll explain a little bit about how like my vision works in this kind of department, right? So as you guys know, Nano is like a metaverse play that we've kind of broken down into achievable phases. Like each phase kind of links onto the next one, right? So the first phase you had land, and then what can you actually do with the land if you don't have a platform and you don't have anything to interact with the land with, right? So then phase two would be like the agents, which is like not only is it a 3D model fully rigged that you can use, with mocap and everything, so you can use it as like a video streaming avatar, and you can use it also in game. So that is kind of like that is your avatar to actually interact with the environment, right? And then phase three is combining both the land and that into a singular platform and building utility for that platform. So it's like a step-by-step process. So it's a metaverse plus an AI play that really I don't think I really haven't seen anything like it in the NFT space, because even for something like Sandbox, they just provide you with a platform, right? And then they're kind of done. But for us, we want to make sure that we're building an entire world, and these AIs, we want them to exist naturally within this world and kind of like act as hosts or like shopkeepers or guides within your plots of land or within like the businesses that you will be running on this land. It'll be like, you have a virtual showroom, someone comes into the showroom, they'll greet them, they'll answer questions about your product, and they'll have like a base level of intellect that would be able to perform some of the customer service duties. So this is how we see the future, right? Because it doesn't exist right now. That's why we're building it. And then in order for Nanoverse to actually become a huge, massive piece of IP, you kind of have to build like an all-encompassing ecosystem. But what I mean by that is not only do you have to have the avatars and the land, we can also have other things that kind of play off that IP, right? Because the reason why MCU, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is so successful is because they have all of these individual IPs, like for example, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Black Widow, and all this stuff, and then they're able to combine it into like a central and shared universe. And that's kind of what we want to achieve with Nano as well. And instead of waiting for people to build utility for us, or like setting up a Kong's tank kind of situation where we have to find other people to add utility to our token, our base token itself would already have so much utility because of our base ecosystem that we're building. And then on top of that, other projects will be interested in coming on board, like especially like newer projects. And how would we approach them, right? It's unrealistic to knock on every project's door and be like, hey, do you want to use bits? So instead of doing that, we're going to build up a lot of credibility using the projects that we are currently building ourselves. And then we're going to establish a launch pad, which we already have, called Oxygen Labs. And then through this, we're able to onboard like brand new projects that are promising and have them build Bits token into their roadmap, so that they're offering Bits tokens, or like they're offering some kind of utility to Bits tokens. That would be like part of the term sheet. In order for you to sign up for Oxygen, once we've made a good name for ourselves, you would have to provide some kind of utility and use Bits in their own projects in like a pretty substantial way. So I think hopefully by the end of 2022, we'll have anywhere between 15 to 20 NFT projects beyond what we're building that will be using the Bits token. So you guys can imagine, like, instead of just 10,000 people using a token, now all of a sudden we have our base ecosystem of potentially like tens of thousands of people, plus all of these other projects and their communities also using the Bits token. It's going to be absolutely insane, right? The demand for these things are going to be crazy.
Yeah, it will be crazy. All right, there's a question in the chat here that says, how do we get bits?
Through your agents.
Yeah, so
So
your
your agents will
agents,
generate like a set amount.
yeah,
Yeah, go. You can answer this one, Chris.
yeah, your agents will be generating, what was it, 10 bits a day that we were thinking of? Your
Yeah, I think
Genesis
10 bits a
agents?
day is, yeah, for the Genesis agents, I think is pretty fair.
Yeah. And will you have to stake your agents? No, you wouldn't have to stake your agents.
Yeah, I don't. I think I've been pretty public with this. I'm not a big fan of staking, especially on L1. I think a lot of the time it's a rich man's game, and even no matter how we like how we optimize the contracts, how we optimize the systems of staking and everything, the act of staking itself is like a meaningless transaction on the blockchain itself. So it's just wasting gas, and that gas goes to, well, I guess it comes back to me because I mine, but like you guys get the point. It doesn't really help the project in any way to get you guys to pay money to stake it.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Do we own our agents' IP rights? Very good question.
Yep, yep, you
Yeah.
would. And Pants will be drafting up like an end user license agreement for us. And she's actually in a meeting right. Oh no, she's not in a meeting right now, but she's scheduled a meeting with a pretty solid European lawyer to understand some of the laws over in the EU as well, because we're based in New Zealand, so we understand like UK and Commonwealth law, and we understand American law to a pretty good degree as well, because US law is pretty it's widely kind of practiced as well. But we don't know much about the EU, so I think she's meeting later on tonight, New Zealand time. We're getting a little bit more clarity and information, so she's able to build these agreements. But yeah, you'll own the IP of it. It'll be like the Bored Ape situation, where if you wanted to use your avatar to stream and act as a VTuber, you'd be able to do that. And it's a win-win situation. Like, why would we try and control the IP of something you bought? Number one, and number two is, if you guys are using the IP, and actually offering us free marketing, because actually that essentially is what it is, and being like loyal supporters of Nano, like why would we not allow that? So I don't see any reason why we should limit anybody's usage of the IP.
Yeah, right. And people can like use it like if you have multiple nanopasses and you want to create them as like characters for your own animation or something, like hey, go ahead and do it. Like it gives us a lot more exposure as well.
Yeah, actually diving a little bit into the VTuber aspect of it, um, it's no secret that I've been an avid VTube enthusiast for a little bit of time now, for like at least maybe 2 years, because like the whole thing took off in 2017, I think, and then I saw a couple of VTubers and I kind of shrugged it off at the start, but then I quickly realized that this is probably like a new wave of streaming, of like there's going to be a whole host of content creators that are not actually going to be showing their real faces. Like sure, some VTubers are docs, right? You know who they are and whatnot, but a lot of people are actually going to jump into the VTubing space that were originally too shy to stream, for example. And streaming is a lot of effort. Chris knows. Like, you have to face the camera and you have to put on your best smile. You have to do your makeup. You have to, get dressed and stuff. Like some people are shy, and also they don't want to put as much effort into actually prepping for every single stream, right? Because people don't understand streaming is actually like super hard work. So VTubing is actually a very easy vehicle for people to actually, create content online in a way that is like, it could be done in bulk, and it's kind of like never really existed before. So having these avatars to be able to be like VTube ready is very important for us, because VTubers have their own communities and have their own like fans and following, and obviously if they're using nano agents, that gives us so much free exposure. Can you imagine like a VTuber that's popular using one of our agents as their own personal avatar? If they need to change a new outfit, we might release a new season of clothing, you know, for Nano, and they'll change the outfit of their VTubing avatar, and everybody's kind of like, oh, you know, Nano's got new stuff, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions and millions of people will get exposed to our product without us spending a dime. So that's actually an extremely smart way to do the marketing, and we're focusing quite a lot on that. So I think we're even going to build a specific like entertainment branch, so we can have our own characters, sort of like you know, stream as VTubers as well. So very interested in that space.
Yeah, Ray's just, collecting his army of VTubers now. That's his main focus. Now that he's hired all of the AI and important bits and pieces.
Yeah, we're working on that.
All right. There's a question that said, oh, what are fragments for? They're basically for upgrading your AI and their intelligence.
Yeah, there's a lot of features, man. Like, if the community wants, and I'm pretty sure the community does, like for example, a great feature to have would be having the agents able to integrate into Discord, for example, and then you can actually give them a Discord account, maybe even your own Discord account, and have them like chat in like various servers. So once we're closer to phase 2, what we actually want to do on the team, bit of a marketing play and bit of fun for the team as well, is we want to join a Discord server and use our model to like farm whitelist with, and see how long it takes for like people to realize that it's a bot, or like will we actually get a whitelist through it. So it's like whatever features the community really wants, we'll kind of listen to your feedback, because we're building the agents for you. And then obviously once the features are built, we would kind of sell them back to you via fragments. So then we're able to recoup those R&D costs as well, because building each feature takes time and resources, and in order to prioritize things, we got to give up other things. So we got to make sure that, you know, if we're selling it back to you in terms of fragments, you want to buy this data pack and you want to upgrade your AI, your software update, then you know that makes sense for that, and it's like it's a mini ecosystem and a mini economy that way, self-sustaining. And obviously features that people really want, those will get prioritized, and the ones that like only a niche community want, maybe those will be like, even if we do build them, it might be more expensive. And think about it like a tech tree, or like a you know, if you play any kind of MMORPG game, you've got like a talent tree, and you can spec into different things. And that's kind of how I see the agents. Like your agent will be different than mine, and it'll be different to Pris's, because Pris wants different things, I want different things, and you would probably want different things too. So yeah.
Yeah. How many fragments for a full spec agent at this point? We are not able to really answer that yet. We haven't really decided how many. But you will start with a very basic model of your agent with a very basic level of like intelligence. So we'll just say like, hello, good morning. And if you want to ask like for the weather on that day in your area, it will be able to answer that. And then eventually, once you collect your fragments, you'll be able to level it up. It also gives us time as well to further progress with the AI capabilities. So as time goes on and people are collecting, we're continuously like researching, developing the AI aspects of it as well.
Yeah, I think the AI is actually, given the progress that I've seen in the last 2 weeks in terms of how our models have progressed, I'm pretty confident that initially I thought that it was just going to speak like mainly gibberish, but actually the way we've structured it, and sort of like the architecture that we've gone with so far has actually produced results that are actually quite convincing. Like obviously it's not quite real person level yet. We still need to build the models out further and do more training on them. But so far it's looking pretty damn good. So and I'm hoping that we can get a demo up on our website before launch, so everybody can kind of have like a play with and have a chat with our current kind of like language models, and kind of see the capabilities of it like in real time. So that's one of the things I'm pushing for. But yeah, I think Chris is spot on in terms of like we need to buy time as well, because building each feature takes time. And then after we take your feedback, we'll build the feature, and then we'll kind of sell it to you. And then that way, we'll have releases that are like every month we'll have something to release, and something new, like a new feature to actually show off to you guys. And I think that's a pretty damn good way of like sustaining interest, and like having a lot of community input, and sustaining everybody's kind of like hype about the project, because there's something new every week, and there's new cosmetics and stuff dropping all the time, because the AI team kind of operates separately to the 3D and design team. So everything can kind of happen in parallel. we're able to develop the platform and the AI like simultaneously, which is like it's difficult, but like so far we've done really well in terms of achieving that autonomy between the different teams and putting the right people in place to actually be like in charge of certain teams with like goals that they need to reach. So in terms of management, I think you guys know that we're good operators.
Yeah. Question in the chat. Are you going to be transparent about how our data, in terms of conversations we have with the agent and usage of it, is collected by your team?
Yeah. Super important, actually. So Pants and I have been talking a lot about this. So there's a couple of ways we're going to ensure that your data is protected. Um, okay, so I'll backstep a little bit and sort of like tell you guys why collection of data is actually important. Because right now, if you talk to Siri or Alexa, the one of the biggest problems with these AIs is that they don't remember who you are beyond your name. Like if you had a conversation, not really a conversation, you don't really have conversations with Siri, right? But let's just hypothetically say that you had a chat with Siri. It doesn't really remember what you talked about and what you kind of like asked it in the past, and it can't build off that data, right? So it's not a very personal experience. So that's why these kind of like audio based like bots or like artificial intelligence is so like it's so far removed. Like you can't build any kind of connection with them because it's like they don't even know who you are, right? So in order for us to have a personalized agent, so every agent is different and they get to know you over time, is that your data has to be treated in such a way that it becomes core to the AI and it becomes like a database that could be referenced later. So the way we want to do it is one, we want to store the data locally on the user's machine. So you would actually like part of the platform or part of the software that you download, there'll be a component of it that actually compiles a database on your local machine, so on your own hard drive. So we're not actually directly holding and owning any of your data. And in order for us to actually pull your data for like training, it would first be like anonymized, so we don't know who it's coming from. Like there's no names, there's no anything like that. And then once we get a hold of that data, we would never permanently store it, right? We'll train the AI with it, and then once it's done, that training data would be like, it'll be scrapped. So then that way, we're never there's never anybody that's actually directly involved and actually in contact with your data or any sensitive information. And we build it so that sensitive information, for example, like your birthday, your physical location, or the things that you've told it to remember that are part of your personal life, those are treated separately as well. So those will be like guarded. So we won't be able to just like dox anyone or anything like that. So that's the kind of structure we have in mind in terms of how we want to do it and offer the kind of protection that people need.
Great question there. Okay, next question. What will be the utility of holding a nanopath after the auto whitelist for the assistants and the black box? So I guess one of the things that the black box kind of like how the utility continues on for the black box for nanopass holders is that, for example, let's say it's like Easter, right? And you guys already all have your AIs. What we could do is we could, drop capsule drops of like like a Easter costume for your agents, for those who held
That's a bunny outfit. Is
yeah.
that what you're talking about?
Sorry, what did you just say?
I said just say bunny outfit. These
Yeah.
degenerates know what you're talking about.
You guys, I know you guys are into your waifus, but like Easter, we could drop like bunny outfits into your black boxes, and like that bunny outfit could be like exclusive for those who held a nanopass and has the black boxes. So those are the kind of like utility that we can integrate the black boxes into the further phases as well. And once we build out like the nanoverse, we can drop like, for example, loot for your land that you can add to your land and stuff like that. So there's a range of things that we can do with those who have nanopasses that continue on into the further phases.
Yeah, I think people are really sleeping on the fact that they're not really believers that royalties will be able to sustain the boxes, but like to us internally, the team has never relied on royalties in order to build these boxes. It's just like we committed like 75% of the royalties back to the boxes, right? And that's to kind of deliver value to the people that believed in the project at the start. It's like our big thank you. And it's because we've already got enough mint money to be able to build out the rest of the project. Like we forecasted that stuff and we converted it into like USDC. So we've got like the funds to build the project no matter what happens in the market. So that's number one. And then number two is that you guys are forgetting that digital products don't cost a lot to create sometimes. Like for example, if I'm creating a specific cosmetic, like a bunny suit, it might cost us $2,000 or $3,000, or maybe $3,000 or $4,000 in terms of like our staffing costs for like the 3D modelers and the riggers and the stuff like that, right? But actually, we're able to distribute it to like thousands of people at a very low cost, like almost no cost, right? Once we actually have the models and product ready, so we're actually able to inject value into these boxes on our end, via cosmetics, via assets for your land, and even right now, you guys are getting a lot of value for stuff that we're not actually paying for. And what I mean by that is like, dude, we've got hundreds of whitelists that are given out every single week in the black boxes. We're not paying a dime for those. Like we're paying nothing for it because projects are starting to realize that the black boxes are actually offering them a lot of visibility. And it's beyond like if you're just doing a server giveaway, what actually happens is you just ping everybody and then they just click on one emoji, right? And then the winners they kind of they kind of get added into the server or whatever. And it's like it's not very engaging of a process. But the black box itself, people discuss it. Every week they come together and they're like they vote on the contents of the box. They talk about what they want. It's like, oh, I got a whitelist to this project, and people are like, oh, what's that? And then they'll look into it. And plus, our social media accounts are pretty buff. So when we do giveaways on behalf of these projects, not only do we gain followers, they also gain a shit ton of followers as well. So we're offering a lot of value to these projects, and it's very hard to replicate for any other project that's not Nano because we actually have a full team that's running this entire black box system. So it's a lot of investment from our side and a lot of like administrative overhead, but we think it's worth it because one, it gives you guys value, and two, it sets us apart in terms of the quality. Even for our giveaways, it's like it's not just a regular giveaway. It's like we try and make it as interesting as possible. And dude, I think this week Yuri and the Wolves team brought in I think 800 whitelists or something like that. Like absolute insanity, right? Like I don't see any other projects doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, honestly, shout out to Yuri's Wolves and shout out to Yuri for bringing in all these whitelists for our Nanopass holders. Like, it's just like so crazy and insane, Like, it was 600 whitelists for this week, including big project names like Tasty Bones. What else? Karafuru for this week. We have Clementines as well. Just
Yeah,
insane. Yeah, Killer GF. Man, shout out to the Phantoms and Yuri's Wolves. They're killing it in this game. And not only, do we provide benefit for our holders, we also, generate relationships with other projects as well and establishing relationships. And that's what's so great about the NFT space, right? It's all about creating and establishing relationships with other projects so that, if we ever want to work with them in the future, we already have that connection established already.
yeah, and we're in a position where we're fortunate enough to be able to help like smaller projects gain some traction as well for teams that we kind of believe in, and that's something that I am super grateful for because like if every project was only collaborating with projects that are their size or bigger, then no one would collaborate with anybody. So we're not only are we able to offer a lot of value to our communities, we're also able to help projects that deserve some spotlight. Help them kind of get there as well. So overall, it's like a positive thing. The only negative that I can see is that, as you guys can see, like Yuri is not in the chat all the time now because she's so focused on running the entire Wolf team. They're doing a stellar job, but it is very taxing like administratively. So I want you guys to kind of appreciate that aspect of it as well because she doesn't get enough love sometimes. And people are kind of like sometimes they're like, oh, where's Yuri? And it's like, well, she's working super hard, right? So yeah, it's not easy to get these whitelists.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone in the team is working hard, so shout out to everyone on the team. Honestly, it's been insane. Okay, next question. Is the black box rigged? All the black box I received are all fragments. I'm not salty. I'm just asking an honest question. Thank you. No, the black box is not rigged.
Like if it was, I'd be pretty damn upset because I'm the project lead and I've gotten like it's not even like I don't mind getting fragments. I always get like the lower end. I always get like five, and I
Yeah.
got 10 of these. I got 10 of these things, and I'm just like chain. I'm just getting chain fives and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? Pretty mad, pretty damn mad.
But
But hey,
yeah,
look, it is what it is. The
it's
entire
it's not
process is now
rigged.
open.
It's
Yeah,
on
you're able to like verify like like with provenance in terms of the randomization of it. So yeah, it's not rigged. I mean, like, if you're getting fragments all the time and you're getting like the lower end of fragments, man, it sucks. But like, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's like RNG.
Yeah, and plus Kai also made it open source on GitHub. So if you want to see like the whole process, it's all available there. He's made an announcement on it on the Discord channel. So yeah, so it's not rigged, guys. It's not rigged. All right. When launch next phase?
Okay, I think someone actually asked us earlier in terms of are we on time? Actually, we're looking okay, but we're running into some blockers on the 3D side because generative 3D is just like one of those things where like yeah, sure you can slap on different things and you can just run a Python script and get it done, but like to get everything looking good in a certain setting is like a little bit of a challenge sometimes. That's why like Hape is so hyped, right? It's because not only are their models like high quality, they're technical like on a technical level, their stuff is like one of the best projects, if not the best, in terms of like oh well, Mecha's pretty good as well in terms of like in the technical rendering aspect of it, and we're trying to hit those benchmarks. And what really slowed us down was that New Year's period. That is actually like it was so tough because nobody responded, and even staff on our current team needed to take time off, and from the art side. So that was the blocker. And then with Chinese New Year's coming up, oh man, like we don't have any staff from China, but like some of our artists are from Taiwan, some of our artists are from like Singapore, and these people also take some time off for Chinese New Year's as well. And that is the big thing that I didn't actually forecast, that so much of the art team, especially some of the key staff, they'll be needing time off. But I think we're still okay for the end of March. Like we'll be okay for March launch, still within Q1. But yeah, we're trying really hard to push for it, but um, not everybody works 7 days like me, right? Like people need time off.
Yeah, yeah, definitely difficult kind of starting a project and launching it during like a holiday season because you can't tell people to work when they're having a break. So yeah, just gotta work with what we can work with and work around it.
Yeah, I mean, like that Christmas New Year's period was like, because like nearing Christmas, you're less productive as well, right? Like you're just kind of on holiday mode already, and then by the time you come back on New Year's, you take a couple of days to get back into the swing of things. So that was at least like almost 2 weeks, right? And then same with Chinese New Year's for some of our key staff. That like for them, that's their big that's their kind of big break of the year. So they're taking like at least 10 to 14 days off as well. So if you add both of it up, like both of those sides up, we've essentially wasted, or like not wasted, but like the downtime we've experienced for some of the art stuff is like almost a month, and we only have from like January until March to build the thing. So like 1 month out of three has been like a write off. It's a pretty substantial block of time.
Yeah. Will we be able to access the desktop AI while away using our phones?
So you're asking the mobile side of things, right?
Yeah.
Um, the short answer is like yes, and the longer answer is yes, but I don't know when that will be a possibility. Like we're either looking at pretty soon after mint, or if our capacity is kind of like capped in terms of like we're focusing a lot of efforts in terms of building the desktop side, and we're kind of like letting the mobile side wait a bit, it may be closer to mid-year or something before we get like any kind of mobile situation. Because the mobile side we actually want to do, or like at least I want to do AR. So you're able to actually like interact with the agents in an augmented reality sense, and have them kind of like like run around on your desk or something. I think that really adds a lot of character to the agent, right? So if we want to build that stuff, I would need to dedicate some tech resources to it, and I'll have to see how the rest of the project is flowing at that point.
How many can Nanopass holders mint in phase two? So depends how many Nanopasses you have. So if you have like 10, then you can mint 10. So one
Yeah, one.
Nanopass equals one whitelist for your agents. Next question. Will you be hiring some part-time artists or other casual jobs? If so, how may we apply? Yes, we have been hiring multiple artists. I've got in contact with quite a few artists and a graphics designer as well. But it is kind of an ongoing thing, and because we always need content. So yeah, if you have art that you want to show us, then you know let us know. Either you can put it in fan art or you can contact us directly and we can have a look at it and see whether or not it kind of fits, our style and our theme and whether or not we can work together.
Yeah, for that specifically, we've got an HR team as well. We've got like two people that are like actual staff dedicated to HR. So I think if you submit a ticket, I think that's the best way to do it. And we are kind of hiring part-timers as well, because a lot of artists they have a gig somewhere else, like a full-time job somewhere, at like like a game studio or something. Like that's what's happening a lot on our current art team. We've got like some artists that are like working at AAA studios like Ubisoft or something, and then they're kind of like moonlighting some of the stuff that we're doing because they love the project. And in terms of hiring from the community, I think most of our hires, I'd say like yeah, most of our hires have actually been like community members or people that the community know in real life, and they've kind of like recommended those connections to us. Including like a lot of the like, dude, a lot of the tech team is actually from the community. Our AI guy, that's Sin. He's actually a Nanopass holder, and he actually DM'd me and told me that he works at like this electric car company, and he told me like this is what I do. And then I was like, damn, you're like a perfect fit because this guy already knows what we're about, and he already like sees the vision in terms of what we want to build. And let me tell you, building an AI is like a lot more interesting than building like a self-driving car. Like the algorithms for like like autonomous vehicles. So for him, it was like a no-brainer. And so we are hiring from the community because like I would rather prioritize hiring someone that's a holder of Nanopass or as a fan of what we're doing, rather than like cold DMing people from LinkedIn.
Yeah. Will agents be tradable on OpenSea upon selling their data? Will they be wiped automatically? How about transferring between our personal wallets? Yes, the agents will be tradable on OpenSea. Will the data be wiped automatically? I mean, do you mean like will they be rolled over to the next holder?
Well, here's how I see it. I think I should probably answer this one.
Mm,
So your personal data, right? The stuff that is like your shoe size, your mother's birthday, where you get your AI to remember your mom's birthday, your dad's birthday, and stuff like that. All that kind of personal stuff is wiped because it's not wiped. It's on your machine, right? It's on your hard drive. So it won't be passed on to the next person. What you can do is if you transfer wallets, you're able to export that file of your data, and then you're able to plug it into the new place, right? So you would sign on, and you would export you would then import that data again back into the AI, so it would have like the same database as before transfer. But if you're selling your AI, that part of it won't be passed on. Unless you're selling that part of it as well for whatever reason, right? Like I guess you can do it, but like 99.9% of the time, it's not happening. And then what would happen is that the upgrades that the AI has, those will be passed on, those won't be wiped, but like the actual data, the sensitive information, the stuff about you and your personal life, that would be like that would be controlled by you.
yeah. Will the AI be able to speak multiple languages?
Um,
We'd
I
have
mean,
to
like that's always
hire
right.
additional resource for that.
Yeah, but that's always the goal. But like, I don't want to overpromise anything. Like working with like English itself is already pretty challenging because like each language, right, has its own logic in terms of like how it works, like in syntax and grammar, the different types of words that it uses. Like, um, so it's very hard for us to like we're not able to directly translate our current models, right? We're not able to just like say like use an English language model and then just be like, oh, now we can convert it into Chinese. We kind of have to build a Chinese language model from the ground up, and that takes a lot of resources. So like whilst the goal is to make it so that it's compatible with different languages, it's not something that we're going to focus on in the short run because what we need to do right now is to get a really good product to a really good level where we can actually like take it to market. So the resources need to be spent in actually perfecting one thing first before we kind of like branch out into different languages.
Yeah. All right. Um, Let me see the other questions. Would you be willing to consider reopening the Alpha Reports channel to holders, but only on the condition that they submit a form saying that they will wear nothing on the Nanopass Discord is financial advice? I mean, I think we've already found a way to go around that with the nomination system. So you just need to be nominated by another Alpha Reports to be able to get access to Takoa's DGen plays. So yeah, that's our workaround for that. Is there a liquidity pool for the BITS token planned in the future? If yes, it might be beneficial to save some funds currently allocated for the Blackbox to seed such a pool when the time comes, right?
Um, Here's the thing: we don't really want to be the ones directly setting up any liquidity pools, because that actually gets into like a little bit of a sneaky like it's a little bit dangerous. I would say like you would get involved with like actual securities laws, which is something that like whilst we are able to do it legitimately, it's going to take a lot of manpower and a lot of resources that don't really make sense to us. So we're actually going to offload that burden onto maybe like a partner that we find later on. We haven't actually done anything on that end yet. We've got a couple of leads that we've been talking to, and they're very interested. But essentially, what would happen is we would have an ICO kind of situation or an IDO where that coin, like a partner or like several different DAOs or several different exchanges would buy up like a certain amount of tokens, right? And they'll lock it up for like 6 to 12 months, and then they would provide the liquidity pools for the token. So we're not then that way we're not directly involved in any of the financial aspect of it, and the market kind of dictates the value of the tokens anyway. But it's a pretty big play. I haven't really seen a lot of like projects go this route, and I think it's really beneficial, and it adds a lot of like liquidity to the token on various exchanges or like various liquidity pools on Uni or Sushi or whatever. I think that's the route we're going to go down.
Yeah. For when you mentioned the data collection turning into anonymous when it goes to your database, will there be an option or a ping that tells us when it happens and if we can turn off the ability to share the data or not?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, we're able to okay, so this actually gets into our actual token and reward system for this part of the project, right? Because the token can do a lot of things, like you can buy and sell resources, you can buy and sell assets on the land for tokens. You're even able to use it as like a payment option for like selling goods and services online. So beyond that part of it, if we're looking at specifically just the agents themselves, um, it's like wait a second. I actually forgot the question. What was the question again?
All right, Louis. Will there be an option or a ping that tells us when it happens or
Oh,
not for turning it?
sorry.
Yeah.
So the actual reward system is like people that want to participate and help us like train the AI, they'll get rewarded in bits tokens in addition to what they're already getting. So for example, if there's a case where the AI is responding incorrectly to some of the things that you're asking, you're able to kind of flag that, and we're able to look at that as like a corner case, and we're actually able to assess and then compile all this data and be like, okay, the AI is having trouble answering this type of question. It needs additional training for this area, right? So this is only possible if there's active user input, and to encourage that, we're gonna we're gonna actually pay people bits as rewards for actually helping us train the AI. So in that way, if you want to like if we're requesting data and you're okaying it, then you'll get some kind of a reward as well, for helping out. But like even if the data gets to us, it's not like we know who it's from. It just becomes like a pool of data, like it's anonymized, and there's no like sort of like there's no link from the data to you.
Mm. And that's a great thing about like the Web3 space and NFT and crypto space is that anonymization, right? If you want to stay anonymous, then that's completely possible. Okay, what price should we be expecting for phase two relative to phase one?
No idea, guys, because as you guys can see, Ethereum took a fat dump yesterday, and essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to raise funds to build the project, right? So I can't tell you guys how much we're gonna charge for the product if like the Ethereum prices keep fluctuating like this. I think we'll be able to have a better idea closer to launch. Like because right now if I tell you it's gonna be an X amount of ETH, and then at launch ETH is worth like $2, we're kind of shit out of luck, I'm not saying it would be, but like it's just like the market conditions is something we can't forecast. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Will the black boxes ever include any physical loot, merch from Nanopass or merch from other partner projects, or maybe promo codes for merch and I pay shipping? Great question.
Sheesh. I mean, like, Chris, I'll let you handle this one.
Yeah, so I mean, we are looking into getting merch sorted for Nanopass. A pretty a leak, should I say, that we'll be announcing soon. is that we have hired a creative lead who designs and owns their own fashion brand that is pretty well known in the space. She is, she's done this for years. Celebrities wear her fashion, her brand, her clothes, from like Ariana Grande to like the Kardashians, all sorts of celebrities, and she's very well connected. And she'll be helping us out with our merch, and also she'll be helping us out um, with our fashion concepts for our agents as well. So keep an eye out because we'll be releasing who it is very soon. But yeah, we're super excited to have her on board. She's actually already on board, and she's helping the art team with the clothing design and helping Ray out with that.
Yeah, yeah, super. So I almost said her name. So she's been super helpful in that regard and taking some of the burden off my plate. Because if I was to do the actual like I do a lot of the crit for the current like clothing design, and I work with that team really closely. But because we're building such a massive collection and we have such a huge focus on fashion, it's like I'll have to do a lot of research and I'll have to like sit down and actually think about each piece of concept that we're getting and kind of critique it and provide feedback, right? Whereas like this new creative lead that we have, she lives and eats and breathes fashion, so she's able to do draw overs and give like really critical feedback, very quickly. So it's better to hire a specialist for the task, and so far it's like been super helpful. And I'll just address something about I saw two questions that earlier in the chat. One was regarding the alpha group situation. So I mean like Takoa has been great in terms of providing alpha, and that's one of those things where like we set the alpha group up in such a way that we've got like someone that's looking after it and providing calls and whatnot. But what's been happening is just like every time Takoa posts something, people are not actually researching and they just directly ape into it, and then they paper hand out like really quickly, right? And some people don't have proper risk management, either because they're in the space, they haven't been in the space for long enough, or the way they're investing is like super high risk. But there's a certain lack of accountability that he's getting a lot of hate for it, for decisions that other people are making, right? Because he would call something and he would say this is pretty degen. It's like 11 out of 10. And when people actually lose money for it, they get mad about it. They get pretty upset, that because obviously there's money on the line, right? And then the easiest person to actually to point fingers at would be the person that made the call. Whereas like if you got out at the right time, it was fine. And some people were actually also criticizing Takoa for selling some of the stuff that he announced. But the thing is, like, what do you expect? Like, is he never supposed to sell anything that he calls? He's not even he's not undercutting anybody. He would buy something and he would list it up above floor price, you know. And it's not like it's yeah. So it's very unrealistic for us to open up the entire channel, to expose him to this negative feedback and this flack, when we should be like we should be gatekeeping a little bit in terms of like, hey, do you guys understand what you're signing up for? And are you actually engaged in the chat and providing value for other people as well? Because it's pretty entitled, right, to be like, well, we expect him to be here and we expect him to just give alpha. He's a real person too. He's like part of the community. He's like our homie, right? Just try and understand a little bit there. And I mean, like other projects don't even have a paid advisor that is providing alpha. Like this is something that's extra that we're doing for you guys, not necessarily something that should be just like, oh, Nano should have an advisor. It's like you don't walk into another project and have that same level of expectation. So please do take a step back and just read what you're saying. Just like take a moment and be like, why am I doing this to another person? And what is the sense of entitlement that you deserve certain things just because you bought Nano? It's like we're trying our best to deliver value to you, but this kind of entitlement and expectation is not good for the project, and it's not good for the team. Because like think about the team, like not myself not included, because I've got like a bulletproof mental, but like if Yuri is reading stuff like that, or if 10 tons is like having to defend Takoa, because he's actually under a lot of stress, right? It's like these people are all part of the community. Like we're all on the same side. Just try and be a little bit more considerate.
And hello, Esther. All right. Next question. What do we have here?
Oh, there's one from Zuzu as well. One second. I think he asked about. I'm gonna scroll up and find it. What services does Oxygen Labs provide? Is it just Solidity or market? No, like the thing is, we've got so many staff. We've got a lot of staff, and we also have a lot of projects reaching out to us for help in terms of like marketing or contract audits or operations help. So like it's all kinds of things. So it's like a pretty stacked, service list that we're providing, and it's good for projects to come on board. One is because they get access to our resources and our networks and our help, but also we're building up a name where in the future we're able to have leverage and be like, hey, look, we can help you out, but you have to use bits tokens in some way, and then that really like that's when it kind of like compounds and builds upon what we already have. So that's the kind of plan over there.
Yeah. Um, what else? Currently, can the AI be misused? If so, how are we planning to tackle this?
Misused how?
Yeah, not a very clear question. But if they mean in terms of data, again, that data is stored on your computer, so I don't think it can be misused to our knowledge. But that's as far as we can probably answer that for now. But yeah,
Pretty
questions.
vague. Because it's like, in terms of misuse, is like using your AI to farm whitelists. Like, is that misuse? Like, because it's a feature we're gonna build, and ethically speaking, it might not be great, right? Because the projects that you're jumping in and you're farming whitelists, you're actually not an actual engaged member of the community. You're using a bot to do it, albeit your bot is like more advanced than what's on the market. So it's like ethically speaking, it's like it's how long is a piece of string? Like you gotta define that before we start like delving into that question. But it's a bit too philosophical, I reckon.
I hope the AI talks dirty to me. That type of misuse. Gosh, guys, come on. Can we have an AI with Ray's voice? Teehee.
Um, yeah, I could do a voice
Ray
pack. We're
voice
gonna do voice.
back?
Yeah, I'll do a voice pack for you guys. But it's like it's stupid. Like I wouldn't even. I'll just drop it in the black box or something. Like yeah, you guys are annoying with that. You guys are always asking for it.
Will there be a special version for partner projects like Skullpunks or Kumos?
Sorry, what was that? Special what?
A special
Special AI?
version for partner projects like Skullpunks or Kumos?
Actually, you know what? We can drop specific cosmetics to those people. I don't mind doing that. Like, we can have like one piece that's like super rare, and it's only available to like punks holders. I'll talk to Fours about it, and I'll talk to Kumo about the Kumo side as well, because we are using their IP and we're using their assets. Like, well, not like their 3D assets, but like we're using their designs and whatnot. So I'll talk to them about it, and if they're cool with it, we can look into doing something like that after we mint.
All right, someone is asking how advanced is the Nanopass AI? What will be the features? Will it be that it will be able to do it? Will it seriously be able to farm whitelist? Lol, 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 question mark.
Yeah, I think farming whitelists is actually not too difficult considering the quality of conversation that happens in most Discords. It's just like, GM, how's it going? We're gonna make it. Like, if you want to do that, that's like I could probably do it like in a week's time. But if you want the AI to respond to conversations and have at least like some degree of like some degree of intelligence to it, it's still doable. And it's doable pretty soon as well, given the progress that I've seen internally. So that part of it is like a big tick mark. So that's not something that's like out of the ballpark. It's actually something that's very achievable. And we'll probably get it ready, probably just after mint. Pretty easy to do. And the other part of it is like how advanced is our AI? As a base, I think we're pretty damn good already. Like you're able to kind of ask it questions and search for specific things on say Wikipedia, and it will be able to summarize the entire article for you and give you like the key information into like one paragraph, for example. So it does quite a bit, and it does things that other AIs really don't cover on the market. Say for example, like an if this then that kind of function. It's like if so and so emails me, respond with this email. Those capabilities are not difficult to integrate, and it's a very smart way of kind of like allowing the user to have like customization or customizability. So I think it's pretty good as a base, and it will only get better, right?
Yeah. Could I have my own custom voice pack? Say I wanted my wife's voice or something of the sort. Could I build or import a custom voice frequency? I mean, I think we are building voice packs, but whether or not you'd be able to customize that, do you think it's something that's possible, right?
Um, I'll have to look into that. I haven't actually thought too deeply about like community members like adding their own voice packs of like loved ones and whatnot. Um, yeah, I don't see why not. Like if that's a feature that the community wants, once again, we'll do a poll, and then if the community really wants it, then we'll build it. It
Mm,
depends on the priority. Like depends on how many people want it and how many people kind of like want other things. Because we've only got like a certain amount of like resources, and we kind of have to deploy them towards things that you guys really want. So if
yeah,
that's something that interests a lot of you, then we'll build it. But
yeah,
I don't see why not. Like we'll just have to spend time and resources. That's my
yeah.
answer, I think.
Every time you guys request something, we have to deploy those resources into that space. So it kind of depends on, how popular that request is and whether or not we have the resources for that. How much of the agent is inspired by Shelter?
Shelter was very impactful. Like it made like an impression on me like years ago when I first watched it. And I guess kind of a little bit maybe. That's why the agents have their own kind of living environments. Like within the virtual world, how that girl, she was like in the physical world, like she was inside the space pod, right? But inside the world, she had environments that were like digitized and it was constantly changing and stuff. And she would like be able to rearrange her room by like swiping her stylus and then draw like new trees and stuff and like draw different environments and different scenarios. That's kind of like what we want to get to. And then having customizability in terms of the agent's living environment I think that really brings them to life as well because like everybody would have a different room setup. We'd be able to like also get revenue from selling like cosmetics and furniture and like other kind of household items to the people that own the agents as well. So I think it's an all round dub.
Will we be able to stack more whitelists if we already hold passes? Thank you, rate and absence. I don't think you'll be able to stack whitelists. Like your whitelist, if you're already a holder, will just be based on the amount of nanopasses you have. Since the actual whitelist process itself is very limited compared to what we had for phase one, I think we're going to leave those for people who didn't have access to phase one. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah, I think mostly we're going to prioritize people that don't have a pass already. But I mean, like on the off chance that someone is a nano holder and they win a whitelist, I would feel really bad to take it away from them. So I need to do a bit more thinking on that. But the good thing is we're not actually doing like bulk whitelisting activities right now. We're kind of still
Handpicking.
yeah, because why would we bulk whitelist anyway? We've only got like a small amount of it. We may increase the whitelist amount. This is something that we're kind of discussing internally now. Um, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. Like we don't want to have like too many whitelists at this stage because like the value of the passes, part of it is because you get ongoing access to all the phases, right? And we don't want to dilute that too much.
Yeah. Will it be able to solve answers on the screen? Say your screen has 1 plus 1 on it. Could you turn it into some kind of setting, turn some kind of setting on for it to auto solve it?
It depends on where it is. Like, for example, if it's on, say you're working in a Word document or like Excel already solves things for you. So Excel is not a good example. Or like maybe you're doing something online, right, on your browser and you're copy and pasting something or there's something you want to solve on the actual website. We may be able to do that via a browser extension, but it's very difficult for the actual program itself to be able to like be like what needs to be solved on the screen and what doesn't. So I think it's just a matter of like highlighting it and then maybe having a special command, maybe like Control I or Control A or something that actually like that's a shortcut to feed it to the agent, or you just copy and paste it into the chat box area and then the agent will be able to solve it. So yeah, I think that's probably the most less like that's the simplest and less convoluted way of doing it.
Yeah. What percentage of the team is moving to Bali? Ha 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 ha. Well, I've already mentioned this earlier. I am moving to Indonesia on the 1st of March. And then once I set up the company, then I'll give these guys their work visas, and pretty much the whole team is moving to Bali, of the core team, anyways. So, yeah. Can you talk a bit more about the algos that's going to be in the engine? Is the language module going to be based on GPT-3? Will it have attention modeling? And how much permissions will it have on our computer? How do you see the balance in that? Right, that's a very
Yeah,
technical question.
that's actually like, especially the permissions part is actually something that I've been thinking a lot about because like the more permissions you give the AI, the more it's able to do for you, right? I think it's up to the community to kind of like guide us in that aspect because like it's very hard for me to arbitrarily say the agent is going to have this much access or like this many permissions on your computer and then not allow you to change it. So I think the community will have a rough guide and in terms of like what kind of permissions they're comfortable with giving. And then beyond that, it would be like an opt-in kind of process. Like if you want a specific feature or like you want specific, you want your AI to be able to do specific things, you would kind of have to opt into it. And in that way, we're not by default, we're not like opting everybody into it, and we're looking after the privacy and security on everybody's like local machines. And the first part, yep, it's like here's how we're doing it. I don't think it's proprietary information, but like the I've been thinking about this AI problem for like a long, long time, right? And there are pros and cons to both. Okay, I'll step back. There are two ways of building an AI right now in terms of a chat module. One is a neural network based model. So it's like it simulates how we think, right? So it's got like a lot of different nodes and it's a very complicated algorithm. Like even the people that develop the algorithms don't necessarily know how the algorithms themselves work once they've been trained and once they've been kind of developed. And the other way is like through a rule-based system where like it's like if you say this and it's got these keywords, then it processes it and it gives you these answers. So the differences is like the first one, which is the neural network based models, they're actually extremely good at being creative and being random, which is great, right? Because when you're talking to someone, they like you and the other person never have exactly the same conversation. It's always like spontaneous. Like how I respond to a question is always different, right? Especially if I'm answering questions on the fly. So it's really good at stuff like that, right? But it's really bad at certain things, like being consistent. Like if you ask the AI that's using an NN model, like, what's your name? It'll be like, my name is Pris. And then you ask it again, what's your name? He'll be like, my name is Tim. You ask it again, what's your name? It'll be like, my name is Pris. So it's very hard for these models to provide consistency, right? Whereas with a rule-based model, it's very good in terms of being consistent because it's got a certain database or a table of like a library of things that it references, and it's like it goes down like a decision tree. It's like a flow chart, right? So it's very good at stuff like that and producing like consistent results. But then when you're talking to a rule-based AI, it's very static. It doesn't have a lot of life into it because it's just responding to you based on a set of rules that is pre-programmed, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build a system. Okay, so this is the way we're going to do it, right? My idea of how to build the AI is to build a filtration system. So a layer that acts as like a gatekeeper. So when you ask it something or when you have some kind of an input, it would automatically classify that input into categories. So it'll be like, this is a question that requires creativity. It would then split that and then pass it on to the neural network model. And then for questions that are like mathematical, for example, it would know that it's a mathematical formula and it needs solving, and it would pass it to another model that's in charge of solving mathematical formulas. So the way we're doing it is very modular, and we're able to implement changes and plug and play new models as they're ready. As long as the filtration system, that is the proprietary, that is like the kind of key piece of technology that we need to get right. And that's kind of like my mind map in terms of how I want to build the AI. So yeah, it's neural network based, and it's got some rule based stuff in it, and it's got other models that kind of like provide different functions. So then that way, if we develop a new function for the community, we're able to deploy that really quickly and just edit the front end of it, the front loading kind of filtration model.
Yeah. Any other questions you see in the chat there, Ray, that you want to answer? Can we get Discord access to Phantom Network? Maybe OG's only 500 here.
I see something here actually. Is this going to be a general purpose AI? And look, I really don't think anything is going to be a general purpose AI. I think we're at least 5 to 10 years out from that kind of technology. I would still say that this is a purpose built and very like it would this AI would have like a very refined set of functions, and it'll be good at certain things, especially forming connections with a human. I think I think pushing that kind of connection and that kind of companionship route is actually the best. And also providing extra utility that actually helps your day-to-day life when you're navigating the internet or using your computer. I think these things are very core to it. It wouldn't necessarily be like a general purpose AI. right off the bat. And it's like, no, I don't think anybody can build that right now anyway. So I think in terms of technology, we're quite far away from that. We need like several breakthroughs to hit that sort of benchmark. So like we're not talking Javas here, but we're talking something that is like it's like a friend to you, and it provides companionship for people that are, so, for example, working from home. Like for myself, I haven't left the house in so long, right? And I'm talking to my team all the time, but some people are just isolated and working at home, and they don't have a companion, they don't have anybody to talk to during the day. Whereas this AI kind of fills that void. And I think it's going to be very important, going into the future that more and more people are going to start working from home, and mental health and like companionship is going to be like a big driving factor.
Yep. Um, other questions? Did you want to answer like PXN questions at all, Ray? Or do you want to kind of leave that for another stream and focus on
Uh,
phase two?
I can answer some since I think we've covered a lot of ground for Nano. What kind of questions are there? Can we have more information regarding Phantom Network? Do Nanopass holders get access to it? Okay, cool. So Phantom Network is like I think I described it earlier in terms of like a multiverse or like a universe kind of situation, right? So you have Nanoverse, which is like the overarching IP, and I think about Nanoverse as like Nano itself, like phase one, two, three, four, and beyond. That's kind of like Iron Man. That's what kickstarted the entire series. And then I think PXN is kind of like a spin-off. So it's a standalone project, but it exists within that same shared universe. And it's kind of like Spider-Man. And the way I see those two interacting in the future would be like through like a movie like Avengers, right, where you assemble the A team, and there's a lot of interplay and synergy behind the different intellectual properties of this kind of universe. So that's what I'm working towards. And in terms of PXN utility, it's pretty damn good. Like it's almost as good as Nano, if not like on the same level. Because like Nano's my baby, and PXN is something that I'm using like NFTs once again to explore like certain concepts. And for PXN, it's like what is actually Web3? What is like a browsing experience that we can kind of be expecting for a Web3 world? Because everybody talks about Web3, but no one's actually building any solutions for Web3 in like a systematic manner, or like building any good platforms for it. The way I see it is if you're using a browser and you've got a MetaMask extension, that's not Web3. That's like Web2 with like some bells and whistles. So it's like about reimagining an actual browsing experience of like what the future would look like. And I'm doing that via PXN. And then with Nano, I'm reimagining what an actual metaverse would look like if like it's tied together by story, tied together by lore, and tied together by like actual utility of how to benefit people and actually create jobs in the Web3 world in like in a metaverse. So they're different, but they're also like at the core of it, it's still developed by me, right? So it's still the same. And for nano holders to get involved into PXN, you guys will definitely have like way more shot at actually getting involved than like a regular person. And I'm dropping like an undisclosed amount of whitelists for the Blackbox. It's like a pretty substantial amount. So even if you don't get into the server, you'll have like, I would say like a pretty good odds in terms of getting a whitelist for PXN.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. And if you hold an agent or if you hold a nanopass, you would be able to use PXN's utility anyway. Like you don't actually have to own a PXN NFT to use it because it's in the same shared universe. So like whatever holders, if you hold like a nanopass and an agent, you'll be able to use those directly in PXN. You don't necessarily have to have a PXN ghost in order to use it. And it's kind of like that's the flexibility we have in terms of that sharing ecosystem part of it. Like it's good synergy.
If I remember correctly, you're going to give some good stuff to the habitants of OG Nanopass Discord server. Would that include invites to spin-off servers?
Actually, that's planned for a phase that's between two and three, because phase two would mint like around like end of March, right? And then from the end of March until the end of the year, which is when phase three would be minting and officially launched. That's actually a long time for especially for like an NFT project. So to actually keep like people engaged and deliver more value to our holders, we're actually launching like we're launching a collection. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but like it's like I would call it like phase 2.5. And the original server, the people that are still in it, they get whitelisted to that like pretty like like pretty automatically. So if you're in that old server, you would get like looked after in that aspect because there's a lot of people that contributed to the growth of Nano at the start. But obviously we only have 5,000 pieces of land, right? So to look after those people, we're launching like a collection that's like unique as well. But they're not agents. They're not agents. I'll tell you that much. But like I won't tell you exactly what it is. But it'll be like in between. It'll be in between like March and December. So we have like in a so it'll be like March, probably be like July or something like that. You'll have another collection to look forward to, and then from July until the end of the year, you'll have like the phase 3 stuff to look forward to. So it keeps people, excited about the project.
Yeah. Um, any other questions you see that you wanted to answer, Ray? What is the benefit of holding one themed Nanopass over the other Eastern Gem or over Cyberpunk, for example? There is no benefit. It's just whatever you like that fits your style. Because essentially in the future, in phase 3, that will be your plot of land. So yeah.
Yeah, I see some people saying that they left the old server. Oh, I mean, like, dude, you can have 100 or like 200 Discord servers, right? Like, why would you leave it for no reason? I can't help you on that. That server's permanently locked. Like, no one's getting into it. But free whitelist is pretty good though, right?
Does rarity for Nanopass land matter? No, it doesn't. Um, any other questions, guys?
I think we covered a lot today.
Yeah, we definitely have covered a lot. Um, Great questions that have come through. Hopefully that gives you guys like more insight into phase 2 and kind of what we've been working on. We do have a lot of things planned out for this week. Um, and the next coming weeks about, releasing more information. So hopefully you guys stay engaged in our Twitter and Discord because, yeah, heaps of things
Yeah, I
coming
mean,
up.
we are giving out one whitelist a day on Twitter,
Yeah.
for like people that interact with our posts and have like, for example, if you change your profile picture to one of the agents, 12 or 19. Actually, I was surprised. There's a lot of 19s out there. I thought it'd be like mainly Agent 12, but hey, that's good to see. But yeah, if you guys interact with our Twitter, we're whitelisting one person a day on Twitter from now until mint. So there'll be like probably like what like 70 people or something, 70 or 80 people that are going to be whitelisted through that. And then we're going to start Discord whitelisting, I think next week, right, Press? Or was it a bit after that? I can't remember.
Um, Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, we can start next week. Yeah.
We can start next week. And also, probably a good question. When did you start the AI research? Sounds like you've been studying for years. Ray is a master of all
Um,
trades.
yeah, I mean, like, I've got a lot of breadth in terms of knowledge, but I don't have a lot of depth a lot of the times. So I would know a lot about a lot of things, but I wouldn't necessarily be like super in depth and be an expert at every field. And I guess that's kind of a bonus. That's a in terms of builds, right? If you're talking about in game terms, I think like specking wide is like a late game build because now I'm able like after like years and years of like reading different research papers and getting involved in different communities and having all kinds of different hobbies, I'm able to kind of like piece together solutions that are like multidisciplinary. Like I'm able to apply thought processes from say my legal background into a problem that's with programming, and then I'm able to creatively solve things there. Or maybe like I've got a decent level of art skill, so I'm able to apply other techniques to solve art problems on behalf of the art team. So really, I'm a problem solver, and not necessarily like a super expert on AIs. But I've been really interested in AIs since like Iron Man in like 2008. Like when the first time I saw Jarvis, like it just resonated with me. I was like, damn, this is actually the future. Like having AI that can actually assist you in such a way that it helps you solve problems and it helps you build things together. And it's almost like an actual person because Jarvis is like super intelligent, right? The way Jarvis kind of banters with Tony, and the things that Jarvis can actually do, like the capabilities. That was like to me that was like a romanticized concept, and I've been waiting 10 years for someone to build it, and no one has. So I thought, look, NFTs are popping off. I may as well use NFTs as a vehicle to raise funds to build the things that I want to build. And so far, I've been putting the right people in charge of different departments, and overseeing the progress and kind of like helping resolve things or like bringing my way of thinking into the project. So I'm not necessarily like an AI expert. I wouldn't want you to think that. So yeah, so I guess that's my answer to that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think I think that would be it for the questions. If you guys do have any more questions, we will be on general chat as well. So yeah, that will be today's AMA stream. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for all the great questions. We look forward to giving you guys more content and sharing you guys more on what we've been working on. So yeah, thanks guys for coming, and see you in the Nanoverse Discord and Twitter. And by the way, this will also be, I'll also save this clip and put it on our Nanoverse HQ YouTube, which I'll link very soon. So you guys can rewatch it if people have missed out or anything like that. So yeah. Bye
Hey, thanks
guys.
for appreciate you guys, man. Love you guys, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks, honestly, thanks so much for supporting us. Every day I kind of wake up and I'm so grateful. Like honestly, like you guys trust us enough and our vision to like give us your money, and follow us on Twitter and be engaging and really like support the project in whatever ways that you guys have. Some of you guys applied for jobs and are actually on the team building the project with us. Some of you guys always like and retweet our posts and have your notifications on. Like, I can't stress enough how much I really appreciate that. And we're trying really hard to deliver for you guys. And that's like what motivates me is like how much support you guys have given, honestly. Like, yeah, thank you so much. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.